start editing, when you start creating content in any medium, one of the worst parts of it is watching, listening, and editing it when you watch it back. And it's horrible. It's horrible. You hate the sound of your voice. You say like way too many times.
Criminal.
Way too many times. You're not coherent or articulate with your thoughts. You're probably speaking too fast. And you just hate yourself. So you have to just get the reps in to overcome that, to be honest. There's no other way to possibly overcome that than getting the reps in and listening to it back and trying to dissect where you can improve. And also when you watch other people, trying to pick up what they do well and implement it. But not a very positive start to that, was it?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of positive / also kind of not positive, as I said, I was going to talk to you about my jiu-jitsu session first week back, as I told you was going down. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, considering I spent that last hour of it trying not to pass out and throw up.
Last hour? How many hours were you doing?
Well, no, sorry, hour afterwards, rather. It was about 2 hours, but hour and 3/4, I don't know. But I said to you that this would happen. I didn't think it would come this badly. So I'm doing loads of medical research into
Nausea?
it. Yeah, nausea, dizziness, just general feeling like death.
How much of that was you thinking, right, this could be something else, or this could be me being very unfair?
Oh, no. It was definitely, it was compounded by that. Like, it came on way quicker because I haven't trained in like 5 months. But when it lasts that long, like, you know something's wrong. Also, I get like hearing as well. And I lose hearing a little bit. It's proper weird. But yeah, I was like sitting in a coffee shop, like afterwards, trying not to die, looking like an absolute weirdo, looking like a crackhead.
Was you
with
in
my
the
head
toilet?
on the table. Nah, man, I was just have my head on the table, like trying not to die.
Can I quickly? Go.
No,
I was just gonna say before you carry on, and I want to hear all about it, but it just really triggered this memory that I had. You said you were in a coffee shop with your head on the table, and I thought, what?
I know where you're going. I think I know where you're going.
I can outdo you on this. Have I told you the story before?
No, but is this Amsterdam? Is it something to do with Amsterdam?
No.
That's the only link. It's a fair guess. When you said coffee shop and head on the table,
that's a fair piecing of the puzzle together. No, it was a good guess, but absolutely nothing to do with Amsterdam whatsoever. I was on great form when in Amsterdam, not in great form when on the way home from university once, and for whatever reason I went out the night before. Well, I was at uni, so that was the reason, and then I had to go home the next day. Typically fine. Quite a heavy evening, and I don't usually get hangovers if I stick within the lines of
I know what you mean.
Vodka sodas, Jaegers, clear spirits, tonics, all that sort of stuff. I'm good to go. Unlimited amount, I'll be sweet the next morning. Any sort of mix, we get a dark spirit in there, we get some other form of short in there that I'm not too, it doesn't go too well. So I know my guidelines. And anyway, I've got the train home the next day and I'm feeling ropey. And I mean very, very ropey. I'm in the train and I've got my head on the table like this. And I thought, I'm going to chunder. I'm going to have to go to the toilet.
You know when it's happening as well. It's just
your mouth starts getting a little bit more wet. Your body starts sort of getting this heat come across it. So I go to the toilet. I've sat with my head on the sink like this for what was 2 hours. And then what gets worse is they decided that day the trains were going to be broken. And there was a rail replacement the other half of the journey. So it was about an hour and a half bus I had to then get from Southampton to Bournemouth. However, there was no bus at that time. You had to wait an hour and a half for that bus. And I had the worst hangover of my life. And I know this sounds random, I had no coat or no jumper. And it was the middle of winter on the south coast.
That's on you.
That was on me, 100%.
Poorly prepared, mate.
100%, but I was hungover, so I felt very hot, so I just was like, I'd rather be cold. Anyway, I'm freezing, feeling like I'm going to throw up, and all that there was a Costa opposite me. So I've gone in the Costa, And I've gone in the disabled toilets.
Oh, mate,
I haven't bought
this is bottom of the
anything.
barrel.
I'm just, yeah, this is bottom of the barrel. I'm making you feel better. I've locked it and I've sat in the disabled toilets with my head in the sink of Costa for an hour and a half waiting for this rail replacement bus. So that was a very long way of saying, I feel your pain. Sorry, as you were.
As I was. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't fun. I'm not gonna. I think it's when you're that bad, you just don't care what other people like think when they're looking at you. So I just could not care. I was like, I just want this to pass so badly. So honestly, I've had I've had tests done. I know it's not blood sugar, blood pressure, anything like that. Yeah, not that either.
White blood cells?
Nope.
Equilibrium?
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's to do with vertigo. That's what I'm generally thinking it's, which is a big misconception. That's why I told you the other day, but it's a weird thing.
Mug when you said that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know either. Right?
You're like common misconception. I was like, sorry, I haven't even.
No, I had no idea either. So it turns out it's something to do with a bit of a science lesson here. Something to do with these calcium crystals in your ear, which cause like disequilibrium and create nausea. And it's to do with the position of your head and the movement of your head. And I think that's why in jiu-jitsu it's so much worse, because I did exercise tests when I was at the doctor's and they said, and I had like minor symptoms, but nothing crazy. I think that's because my head wasn't moving very much. Obviously in jiu-jitsu, you're all over the place. I think that's why it comes on so much worse and quickly. So gonna look into that. Hope I can get it sorted. I've got a session next week. I'm trying to place in London Grapple, which is cool. And then I'm gonna look at getting a membership back down at where I'm at the gym I'm at. So that'll be hopefully have it sorted by then. I probably won't, but it sucks though, because I'm not gonna lie. As soon as we finished the roll, I was like flow rolling the last roll because I felt like death. I just didn't want to die. I was so tempted to I should have just tapped just to try and get up and go to the toilet to chun, but I just didn't because the pride was there.
I was
like, all right, let's take a photo. I was about to go out and get fresh air. I was like, no, man. Got to line up against the wall to take a photo, and I'm just like cracking like a smile whilst I'm literally my head spinning all over the place. It was rough.
That's a good point you raised it, because maybe you'll be able to help answer this. I was actually meant to ask someone at the gym the other week. I've played and participated in nigh on every sport you can find in England. There has never been a culture of post-training photos, but in MMA and jiu-jitsu, it's just the absolute protocol. And when I first started seeing it, I was thinking, what is happening? Why does everyone...
it though. I quite like it.
I'm not massively against it. I'm just saying, is there anything to it? Why is that?
I don't know.
Sport.
You just get
no other sport.
You just get told to do it, and then you do it, and then you're just like, well, this is it now. This is my line. The hand comes up. It's either that or it's that. Oh no, you can't actually see, can you? Yeah, it's the fist or the thumb and the pinky. Like, yeah.
That's jiu-jitsu. That's fighting.
Yeah.
These are the two international sides of the photo.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It's a weird culture, isn't it?
Why
we got to inspect that. I don't know. Someone must have started it, and then it just spreads. I quite like it though. It's a nice change.
And it's not. I thought originally it was when people were training with people who are somewhat of names, or they fought in a particular organisation. Because I do see that happen a lot at the gym. If someone comes down for a day or two from another country, often they usually get a picture with Brad and Nathaniel and a few of those. I sort of get that. But no, it's just anyone, every session. And it's just so normal. And it's not massively a big deal. I never really massively understood it. Every other sport I've seen has never done that. Not that important of a thing.
Actually, speaking of that, just real quick, sorry. You talk about that being a thing that everyone has in jiu-jitsu. So I got my mate to come with me. So he'd never trained before. And I finally convinced someone to come with me. I was like, great, cool. And then he messaged me the other day. You'll probably know about this. But he messaged me the other day saying, why have I got a cut / thing on the top of my toe near my... And I was like, is it near your big toe? And is it like a little circle? And is it red? And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, everybody gets it. Everybody gets it in jiu-jitsu. It's that little mat burn you get near your big toe when you start. And I didn't actually know what it was from. All this time, I'd seen everyone with it, and I never knew what you get it from. I was like, oh, it's probably mat burn, right? And I realized it's Well, it's obviously mat burn, but it's like it's from wrestler's walk, right? So that's what I think it is when you bring the foot round. I don't know if you know you know the drill, and then your foot scrapes against the mat. I think just instinctively
Wait,
when you don't know how to do it,
talk me
you
through
don't know
that.
that. So it's a little.
No. I nodded.
You know
but
when
I
you
was
shoot.
like,
You know when you
no,
shoot. You know when you shoot.
Sorry,
for
yes, like the knee duck under.
It's the
sort of
knee.
thing.
Yeah. So you drill that, and then it's basically when the other foot the back foot comes forward. When you haven't done it before and you're unfamiliar, you tend to drag the top of your toe, I think, along the mat. I think that's what causes it. Everybody gets it. Everybody.
I think it's also because it's funny you say that. When I did some jiu-jitsu, it's probably about a year ago, even maybe.
You must have got it
longer than that.
If you did do that.
I got it on all of my toes.
Oh, why?
Badly. Just took all the skin off because I was in my friend's dojo, if you like, at the bottom of his garden, and the mats were fairly fresh at the time, but they're quite abrasive. So my feet not being conditioned to that, and obviously just grappling and whatnot, just took all the skin off the top of my foot, and it was so painful.
I never had that.
I've got a photo of it actually. I'll show you. It's terrible.
Jesus.
There's no skin on the top of my feet, and I just couldn't do anything for so long. I can't remember where I was at that time. I was working. I was working as a personal trainer. I was on the gym floor. I couldn't wear shoes for about 2 weeks. I wore sliders.
What were you doing?
I wore sliders to work.
What were you doing on the mat to warrant that? Seriously, because I can't even. I've never had anything close to like what you're describing.
Just think about it logically. I can't tell you a particular position or scramble. I guess so,
but even if you're not like instinctively like attuned with the mat and you just know where your feet are and how to place them, like, you're not going to get it that bad, right?
There's going to be so many different positions where your feet. This is not interesting, but your feet are like face down on the mats. But like I said, they were quite abrasive. If it was another mat, I don't know if that would have been the case. But there were sort of small pimples, like dimples, if you like. No, pimples because they were out on the mat. So and because they were quite fresh, they're not sharp, obviously, but there's friction right there. There's quite a lot of friction on those mats. They're not necessarily the softest. Yeah, so it took it completely off. But it's good, obviously good to go in 180. What you said is good that you got back in the room. How did your performance go? Did you get any submissions?
Oof.
Get submitted a lot?
Well, I submitted my mate, which that's no achievement. But keep in mind, I think he has got like 20 kilos of me, and he is athletic. So I was so rusty. So
20 kilos is about 44 pounds.
Yeah, well, it's about 18 kilos, I reckon, something like that. Maybe a bit more. Actually, no, probably about 20.
What do you weigh?
I'm like 63. 60 at the moment. I'm a little bit lower than I used to be because I'm quite light. Normally I'm like 65, 66. Jeez. Yeah, but I'm quite light. But
what do you think I weigh at the moment?
How tall are you? What, you're like 6'2", right?
6'2". How do you know? Oh, you've met me.
Fuck. I don't know. I've had to guess. You're probably like high 80s, right? 87, 88?
No.
Less than that?
Mate, I'm about 70 kilos at the moment.
No. No way. That's such waffle.
I've been deadly serious. I got on the scales. I said to Nathaniel the other day, I said, guess how much I weigh? And he was like, 72.7. I got on the scales. I was 72.7 kilos.
Jesus Christ.
But that was a couple of weeks ago, and I probably lost a few pounds, to be honest. The heaviest I've been, 94 kilos.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would have thought you, just because of your frame, you'd been up in the 80s.
94 kilos. Naturally, I'm a complete ectomorph. Like, naturally, I couldn't be more of an ectomorph. If I just exercise and I'm not conscious about obtaining a good level of calories each day, my weight will just drop like that. Do you
have to really maintain it? Because I don't feel like I need to maintain. I feel like I need to, but I don't have to like try too hard. I don't know. I have lost a bit, but that's probably just because I lost a bit of muscle mass because I haven't trained in ages. And that just natural muscle mass I built up for training twice a week, I probably lost a bit. But I mean, I was around 66, 65 was like my weight when I was training regularly. I'm 5'8", 5'8" and a bit, something like that. Yeah, so I'm definitely 5'8". Definitely.
5'8"
no,
I am. Just round it up.
That's 5'8". We'll go 5'8".
5'9" with shoe. That's what I would say.
Yeah, man, 5'9" with shoes.
How many times are you not wearing shoes? Think about it logistically. The truth of it is, you know what it is? Because I've started drinking coffee. I have this one. I wake up, and if I was into BS fitness terms, I would say I do fasted cardio and fasted
Red
workout.
light therapy.
I don't do fasted workouts or fasted cardio. I just don't have breakfast most days, and I have a workout.
Yeah, neither do I.
There's a lot of people try and make a big thing of that, but it's not. I just don't have breakfast, and I've done a workout. There's no necessarily
There's
added
no shame
benefit.
in that either. I don't. It's not. Yeah.
No, it's just, listen, I thought about it the other day. I've been in the fitness industry professionally and also recreationally for about 10 years now. And you sort of come full circle to when you realize you literally just do whatever is most comfortable, most sustainable, and most enjoyable for you. And typically I wake up, I get on with a bit of work, I have a coffee, iced coffee about sort of 11. And honestly, it's not great. I'm not saying it's great, but I can have
If
my
it
first
works,
meal
eh?
about 6 p.m. and
No way.
legit, like easily.
I can't do that.
Easily.
I need to have like I start feeling proper weird if I don't like eat like after like I skip breakfast, but if I don't eat until like 3 p.m. tops, like that's when I'm starting to feel proper
The
strange.
thing is, I've done all of it though. This is the thing, right? So
No, it's different bodies though, isn't it? Yeah.
I've done all of it. I've had the stage where I was 94 kilos. I was having probably sort of 4-5 meals, snacks a day, if you like, 5,000 calories. Done that many times. And then I've also done it where complete flip side. And in truth, I'm really good, or I'm very nonchalant to just the adaptation. I don't overthink it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily identify as, right, I've got to do this, got to do that. So it's just quite easy for me to be placid in whatever approach I take. So yeah, at the moment, I've been drinking a large iced coffee about 12, eating my first meal at sort of 5. And then if I've done a workout and even, let's just say I run that day, maybe, do a couple of runs a week, I've just been in a deficit, but not even
Just
intentionally.
as a question, do you? Because for me, it goes for me personally. I lose my appetite after I train. I don't know if like particularly after I come off the mat and like just come out. Even if I'm really hungry before, like let's just say for example, but afterwards my appetite goes. Like maybe it's a subconscious thing, but I just don't feel like eating at all. And that used to really bother me when I was training in the evenings because I used to have like 8 p.m. sessions to 9:30, and then I wouldn't have my dinner till like 11.
Yeah,
because I just the appetite's just not there.
When I was in my first year of uni, I would eat my dinner probably on average about 12 to 1 a.m. So when I say I've lived every end of the spectrum, I've lived every end of the spectrum. I really have. I've done early dinners, late dinners, no dinners, loads of dinners. Like I've done every single thing. So now I'm just at a point where, especially obviously I'm going away in a couple of weeks. I want to.
Oh, where you going?
I want a little bit of a.
What do you mean, where you going?
I thought you were joking.
No. I for a second I was like, oh shit, yeah, he is. He's going to Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi,
and he's going to enjoy the sun.
I'm actually going to Dubai. Technically,
Dubai first.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Dubai. I found out there was a cheaper way of doing it, so I got my flight to Dubai, and then I've booked a transfer to Abu Dhabi, which is about hour 20. So I've got a cab waiting for me. Thankfully, you can get Ubers and they're pretty cheap. You can get cars on the side of the road. They're really cheap. But I was just thinking, you know what? I want to step off the plane. I want someone to hold a board saying "Casuals Corner," and then I want to jump in there. That's the fantasy. It's exactly how I booked it.
That's a weird thing. That just reminded me, like the way I always everyone talks about like, the idea of success, and I've sort of have this running joke in my own head, right? That I'll know I've made it. So I don't, even though I don't drink, I've stopped drinking, and even then I barely did before. But I have like my idea of success is to sit in a really nice armchair with the fanciest glass of whiskey ever and a bougie ass cigar with the like really nice case and everything, like and I never smoke it and I wouldn't drink it, but I just hold them and I'd probably smell the cigar. That would be that's how I'd know when I've done it, right? I don't know why, I've always had that image in my head.
You say I don't know why. I think it's obvious why. That is the most cliche image of success we've always been presented. Of course,
I don't know. I just like the idea of it, and I don't even. Yeah, I wouldn't even drink it.
Do you like the idea of it, or would you actually want that to be your reality? Would you do that?
Well,
you don't smoke
I don't know, it's a very
drink.
Small. Yeah, well, it'd be cool. I'd always like. I don't know. It's just the image, isn't
it? What does success look like to you, genuinely?
Well, in part that no, as a joke, but like I don't know.
Day to day, what does it look
I said
like
I am money motivated. I'm money motivated quite pretty, but a lot. Like so, definitely towards that, but also success in terms of business, in terms of what I'm growing, like, and what I can say I'm proud of making off my own 2 feet as well. So but those things come hand in
But
hand,
what
right?
does it
Money
look
and
like
building a brand.
tangibly? What does that look like?
I don't know. I'm expanding the YouTube channel, so multiple channels on YouTube, I guess. This is a really good idea. I've been thinking about doing this. I don't know if I've told you, but down the line, what I want to do is, I have to give credit to Mr. Beast for this, because I saw him do this a while ago, and I love it.
Spanish.
But yeah, so honestly,
So
the
impressive.
foreign markets are insane.
Yeah.
And I've seen some really cool AI tools. As much as I'm a bit apprehensive on AI about, you know, I'm paying down the line. It's not perfect yet, but what I might do is I pay for an AI subscription thing, which can basically recreate my voice and make it speak in other languages.
100%.
I'll just dump the whole script in there.
100%.
After I've made the first rendition of the video in English, just cut my audio track out, paste in the new one. Obviously, you'll have to line up some little bits and bobs. Take like another 20 minutes per thing. That's 5 videos, let's say, for 5 different channels, at a time. And I didn't realize, if you've seen the Korean Zombies YouTube channel, right? The amount of views that man gets is unbelievable. So I didn't know the Korean market was that big, to be honest. It blew my mind. I didn't know that, because I knew it was big in Japan, because obviously of
Ryzen.
Ryzen and stuff like that. But yeah, and Pride. But I didn't know how big it was in Korea and Mexico as well, Brazil, like Russia. Like, they're so.
It's funny.
mate.
It's funny you say this, right? Because I've actually had, again, Mr. Beast was exactly who I found this off, and it's funny you say. I knew exactly what you were going to say as soon as you said Mr. Beast multiple channels, because I was like, I've had the exact idea, because it's to your point, an amazing idea. And I've actually got a very close friend who speaks perfect Spanish, who's very much into MMA. So I've always found quite an easy transition there, because obviously Spanish speaking is, like you said, South America, and obviously Spain as well, which is growing in popularity.
Well, Portuguese too.
Portuguese, yeah, they're quite similar, but obviously Portuguese. Then you've got the Brazilian market. But what you said there, Russia. Oh my word! I actually thought about having some of my videos translated into Russian, because some of my best performing videos are Russian at the forefront. One of the videos that went most viral, I dug into it and I thought, why has this gone so ridiculously viral? And I found out that I got put into a Russian newspaper online. Yeah, super random. So I had a look at my traffic sources of where the traffic was coming.
Oh, I like doing that as well on my channel. Yeah,
and it showed me the external source, and it was a Russian newspaper or magazine or something like that. And I went.
Is that on YouTube?
It was on Instagram, I think.
Because I know,
or TikTok.
because on YouTube you can see where the site it's come from, but you can't see. I don't think you can see the external source.
Yeah,
I was hoping you could say you could do that, because I didn't know if you could.
I think it was.
That'd be cool.
I think it was Instagram, but I do remember seeing that and just laughing, because I went on it obviously, and it looked as like the equivalent of The Guardian, but essentially in Russian. And my video got posted on there, and then that's why I got such a ridiculous inflow of traffic. But it just made me laugh that you said that. But I can't remember what my train of thought was before that. We was channels,
languages.
Yeah, we went everywhere, eating and everything.
But actually, I did want to say, this is just as a tip to not just you, but anyone who's doing content creation, in general. Particularly on YouTube, because obviously we are delving more into that in terms of where we're taking the direction with the podcast. And just something I wanted to give, just some advice which I discovered recently. Well, I didn't find it from anyone, but I realized how powerful it is on YouTube, the community tabs.
Yeah,
using community posts is crazy. I do it takes 2 minutes, 2 PNGs of a fighter, of 2 fighters, and then make a poll on who's going to win on a certain fight. You're going to get like 4,000 votes. I'm getting like 4,000, 5,000 votes on my thing, and you get likes, and you get a bit of extra traffic to your channel as well. It's kind of untapped a little bit, not appreciated enough. Like 1 or 2 community posts every couple of days, maybe. It's nothing. It takes like 2 minutes.
No, you're on the money, and to be honest, that comes down to losing my habit of doing that. Because if you actually scroll back on my community tabs, I would do 1, 2 a day, because it's so quick and so easy. And they would get ridiculous reach, way more than I even had subscribers. It was kind of crazy. And then for whatever reason, I fell out the loop of the habit of doing it. And then I went back and done one the other day and got 14. But all that I would need to do is just re-establish that. But you saying that just puts again that in the forefront of my mind, and it is a very good idea because
It's so easy.
You shouldn't use it how I've used it recently, which is every time you just post a video, you repost that. Literally the worst way to use a community tab is to repost a video that you've actually made and then just share it to your community. That is the worst.
Yeah.
But engage in polls and interactions like that.
Because you get traffic from people who aren't even subscribed to your channel.
Yeah, I know.
And then even then that, because the subscribe button, what I know is it's why it's so easy to get subscribers on shorts and TikToks is because the subscribe button's right there. You don't really have to scroll and look for it. Even if it's just that one little scroll, makes all the difference. That's why it's so much harder to get subscribers on long form content than it is a short. Because like your short can get a couple thousand views. You can get like, if you're lucky, like 10. If it's a really good short, like 10 subscribers. I think per short. Normally it's like 3 or 4, but it's still really good.
I think a lot of people nowadays, though, I think I've heard a lot of people speak about it with YouTube more so now. Is their mindset is obviously subscriber count has social proof to it, really. That's what subscriber count's coming down to. I think I've heard a lot of people speak about how it's a little bit like TikTok, really. I literally had a look at this yesterday. This person had 2 million followers on TikTok. And I would scroll through a couple of their videos, 100, 200, 300 views. Literally 300 views.
Is these shorts or are these long? Oh, it's TikTok.
This is on TikTok, right? My point is, I've heard a lot of people speak how that's kind of similar to YouTube now. Because you would have seen it. You would have seen it. Like, if you go on your video, right? If you go on your most or just like average video, I actually don't know. I'm just asking this as a question. How many of those views typically are from subscribed people?
What I've realized, well, I mean, obviously this makes sense, but the lower performing ones tend to be more from less. It doesn't show it to as many people who aren't subscribed. So it feels like once it gets past a barrier, then it just starts showing it to so many different people. Like, for example, I just put the Mythical Fighters 2 out, which has been out for like 38 hours. And
so specific.
I don't know. You're just obsessed with checking analytics. Let me actually check. Let me see how close I've got that. Because if that is worryingly close, then there's clearly something wrong.
I think you are pretty much spot on, to be fair. That it probably will be about a day and a half, wouldn't it?
Oh no! Oh wait, yeah. Oh no, a day and 18 hours. I can't do. What is that?
42.
42. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Well, point is, but like most of the traffic there is people who aren't subscribed. Because I think once it reaches a certain, like, YouTube realizes, right, this video is going to do well, so it just pushes it to other people. And the lower performing ones tend to be, it's just the same core subscriber base, and you still get that anyway. But I think the good thing about getting subscribers, people say, is you don't need them. I think it's a bit of both. Because I think if you have a decent fan base following subscriber count, you're always going to have a baseline that you tend to just reach.
Yeah.
And which is always just good. But if you know what you're doing anyway, then it shouldn't matter. You're going to make enough videos where they're just going to do well regardless of your subscriber count. Like, I mean, obviously the Mythical Fight video that just smashed. It's on 90k views nearly. So it's like, it's if you know what to target and where to go with your video and your niche in particular, then subscribers not really that relevant. And I was actually doing a lot of that earlier today. Before we last couple of hours, I've just been doing a bit of research, thumbnail experimenting, just playing around. I was like, what I've realized is just absurdist content kind of works. Like a lot. Like in terms of like, it could be to any niche, but in UFC we're talking crazy stuff like obviously Mythical Fighters. Like, and also this next one, I thought of an idea. I'm going to do a video on curses in MMA. Which is done before, but again, if I do it, it's not about.
There's no original idea.
Style and doing it better.
There is no original idea. You don't have to be first. You have to be best.
Repackage and innovate and do it in your own style, and that's what I did with the Mythical Fighters video, because there's loads of Mythical Fighters videos on YouTube, and most of them don't have as many views as the one that I did. So, and that's obviously I'm going to big it up a little bit. I'm not trying to be like an egotist or anything, but that's just a case of good brand packaging and timing as well. Like, it's just doing the right things, and that's all you need to do on YouTube to really have success. And I'm not saying I'm a massive YouTuber, because I'm not. Obviously, I'm nowhere near that. We're still in the infancy, but anyone can really achieve on YouTube. I think if you just take time to like do a bit of research and know your niche, it's not that hard.
It's the packaging.
It is, and it's not,
almost
to be honest,
all the
it's
packaging.
not that hard. Yeah,
That's where I go wrong.
Yeah, I agree. If I had to actually criticize your content, like being straight with you, your thumbnails aren't good enough. Like
But the thing is,
that's what I would say. It's like, and I know you won't take offense to that
no, I
because
don't take
obviously you're
offense
in the
to
same
it.
space as I am. That's
If I have a video, this is the thing, right? If I have a video, the way that YouTube should work, really, and not just YouTube, any form of platform, is you work backwards. You work backwards from the thumbnail. A lot of people, and even me still, and I am moving away from this, to be honest. But the typical path is people think of a video, or they create a video, then they're like, okay, what should I call it? And then what should I make the thumbnail? But it's completely the
that's how
wrong
it
way.
used to be.
Yeah, it's completely the
Yeah.
wrong way. You'll know. I'm speaking to people listening,
No, of
not
course,
necessarily
of course.
you.
No, as you should though. As you should.
However, it should just be the complete reverse, right? So it should be, right, what is the concept and what is the thumbnail going to be? And then let's work backwards to create a story within that. So we've got the perfect packaging and then reverse engineer it. My point is, let's play this out, right? So on Tuesday, I've got a video coming out with a day in the life. This is not necessarily the title. I'm just saying what the video is. It's a day in the life I spent with Nathaniel. So I met him in the morning. We walked his dog. We chatted. We had a conversation. We've gone to training. We had a little conversation. And that's mainly just the gist of it, right? So it's showing you a little bit of insight, showing you what he does in his morning, showing you his walk his dog, bit of insight, bit of conversation, bit of inside the mind, if you like. Now, my question here is, we may as well just play this out. Let's talk thumbnails and titles, because even though if I self-reflect, I've been lazy where I haven't given it as much time and attention as I can.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, though.
It's not a bad thing. But my point is, every time I make a thumbnail and title, there is still thought to it. I'm still trying.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to overdo it.
No, I'm still trying to curate something which is a nice packaging, right? Now, you take that, right? I'll just get your thoughts on this. What direction would you go in?
What, with that video
With that video?
Already, so you have a sort of title format when you say
not necessarily. No,
what's called no, but it's a day. I know, but you've had a lot of videos where it's a day in the life, right? That's what it's called, right? That's, if I'm not mistaken, you've got videos like that in the past, right?
One or two. Yeah, one or two.
Immediately, I changed that to similar thing. Just change it to I spent the day with. Because that just feels more. I'm not going to say it's going to be a complete be all and end all. Like,
no, I'm hearing
miracle worker, but the vibes I get when I put a day in the life, that feels kind of vloggy, and it kind of, I know your content in a way is kind of got elements of that in terms of it's, man with a camera sort of thing, but when you put,
I spent
a day in the life, it feels
UFC
kind of, I spent the day with, that immediately that makes me want to click on it way more. Yeah, that's where I was gonna finish this. I spent a day with a UFC fighter. That just seems, it feels much more modern in terms of a title, like in terms of that's relevant.
The reason I didn't, sorry to cut you off, the reason I haven't done that before, to be fair, I haven't necessarily thought of it necessarily that clearly. The reason I've steered away from things like that before is just from the mindset of not trying to include anything about me in terms of.
The thing is, your name's not in there, though.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not saying that.
I know
that
what you're
did
saying,
it.
though.
Do you hear what I mean? In terms of no one cares about me or what I'm doing or my thoughts.
Well, make them then.
Yeah,
because your face is, you have no shame in saying
you've got
no
shame.
No, I started that wrong.
No,
you know what I'm saying though, but like you're fully committed to the fact that your face is at the forefront of a lot of your brand. So why not carry on with that? Make people care about what you do and who you are and what you make. So it doesn't really matter. Like they're still going to be watching for the UFC fighter part anyway.
And my face isn't in the thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't put your face in the thumbnail in that because obviously the title's not the focus on that anyway. But it's okay to put I spent the day with a UFC fighter, or like I spent the day with an elite level.
Yeah.
It fits better.
And I was thinking with thumbnail, I saw Iman Gadzi. Is that his name?
I'll probably recognize it.
Oh, you would. Now. He's one of the bigger content creators. Iman Gadzi, his name is.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
So
yeah, no,
there's a thumbnail he made the other day, which was he done a video, day in the life sort of vibe, and I kind of like the idea. It was almost like a split screen, right? So you had left and right, and then it was him playing tennis in the morning, and it had 7 a.m. And then it had him on the right. It was at the laptop, 7 p.m., whatever it was. I kind of like, what are your thoughts on that idea? Maybe doing something similar. So having Nathaniel with his dog, walking the dog, nice picture, nice clear picture, 7 a.m., picture of him in sparring, 10 a.m. sort of thing.
I get it. I like the idea of the contrast, right? But I feel like this is what I was talking about, the absurd issue. You don't have to go lean full-fledged into it. Like, I hate those washed, like the Mr. Beast thumbnails. They're so unsettling.
Not
and they freak me out. I hate
overproduced,
them.
yeah.
No, obviously, I don't mean in terms. Yeah, it's just in terms of the contrast. Like, realistically, no one cares as much as the video would be good. A thumbnail, you've got to grab the attention. If they see someone walking their dog, that's nothing. It's like whatever. And I get, but the thing is, I like the idea of having a contrast, but you've got to make that contrast the difference. With it, however you do it, you've got to make that wide visually just way bigger.
So what do you
Walking
think?
your dog is still a normal thing, right? Yeah, I don't know.
But
I don't know where you'd go with it, but I wouldn't use him walking his dog in the thumbnail because I feel like it's a bit.
no,
I don't
this
know.
is my point. This is my point with the thumbnails, right?
I know it's a tricky
It's a
one
little
to
bit
do,
of a conundrum
right?
because in my head, half of me says, right, you have thumbnails and it's always good to use human faces. That's just clinically proven a million times over in YouTube, right? So faces is always good. People like that. The trap then is you don't necessarily want to use faces of people who are not that widely recognized because it doesn't have any or much attachment to people. So I'm stuck then between...
And you have to make up for that. You do, because...
So you're saying visually grabbing... You're saying...
Yeah, I know it's a tricky balance to do,
I
right?
want some answers. Come on.
Yeah, okay.
I want some answers.
Nathaniel, right? So Nathaniel's like to us and to a lot of MMA fans, he's really well known, right?
Nah,
so if you're trying to,
to a wider audience,
Yeah, he's not. That's what I'm saying. To a wider audience, he's not. That's my point. So you have to compensate for that.
How?
Right? So if you want to make it as clear as possible. So just a close up with him with boxing gloves, looking sweaty. I don't know, and just make the photo pop. Maybe if you want to do that before and after type format, as you said, right? 7 a.m., 7 p.m., whatever it is, you have to make it. You just want to like make it as simple and clear as possible. Just get the point across. That's what I've realized. What I'm trying to do, and make it pop. That's what I've my mantra quote on whatever you want to say for making thumbnails. It just needs to be. I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of people forget to do that, and that's what I said about the absurdist thing. That's like the extreme end of it, right? You know, you get Mr. Beast with a giant golden fucking yacht. Like, you don't need to do that, but you just need to visually convey what the video is about. I know I'm waffling a bit, but if you show me your ideas, obviously later on, I'll be glad to pick it apart with you. But it's hard to really. It's a difficult. It depends on the video you're making, because the video you're making can make making a thumbnail actually quite difficult.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
it's not that easy of a concept because you have to.
It isn't.
Realistically, your thumbnail and title has to tell and show us what we're going to get in the video, right? Hence why I went down the road. I understand that walking your dog is not that fascinating of an interest. However, in my head, and I'm not saying this is the solution and definitely the answer, but in my head, I'm thinking the way that I view this is, right, okay, we've got the contrast of something very average, very day to day.
Yeah, no, I like the premise
and
of
then that, right?
Yeah.
I've also then, on the flip side, sometimes I've used very pop, if you like, close-up, sweaty, dramatic sort of things before.
Yeah, that is key. Close-ups are key. I use close-ups in every one of my thumbnails.
But it was never... Maybe it was. This is the thing, right? Maybe it was
not mandatory, of course.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was the video. Maybe the video wasn't that good, because that's a whole different conversation.
That is also part of it. Yeah, we that is obviously something to come on to.
This is the thing, right?
I think. Yeah, I mean, what I would do if you wanted to have the after contrast, I'd put like, if you did 7 a.m., 7 p.m., obviously it's a little bit misleading, but in the sense that you could have the 7 p.m. being a photo of him, like a close up of him literally in a fight, like in the UFC, like bloody and bruised in a fight, because I know that sounds like it makes no sense. It's a little bit misleading, but it's gonna get people to click on it, and it's not really clickbait. I wouldn't really call that clickbait, because you're not. It's still what he does. It's still part of his day to day. It's part of his life. It's his job. So I wouldn't call that too misleading. And in terms of the before, I like the premise of the structure of having the before and after, and that's what I'd have for the after. I mean, you could do.
I like the
You could do the
title.
walking the dog, but
I like the title.
yeah, the title that would work way better as a title than A Day in the Life. I spent the day with is more contemporary.
Yeah,
and
I
it
wasn't
works way better.
necessarily gonna
100%.
use it down in life. I will say that, but I do
But
like
I spent the day with. It works a lot. Yeah. I think that's. I know it's a little bit because obviously you're working for you're working as a whole with GBTV, like it's a whole thing, and you want it to be more about the gym the more than it is about you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to relate
I
back
get what
to
you
that
mean,
every
though,
single
like,
time. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, but
It's a
yeah,
broader sort of category that it falls into, and within that,
Yeah.
it can say and do whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. I can be much more provocative, or I can be more personal, or I did this, or I went. That's absolutely fine. There's no dramas there. So it's that's the difficult thing about YouTube, and maybe even
Yeah.
anyone listening is it's the balancing act of improving the videos and getting the packaging right, and then sort of trying to reverse engineer to find out where
and
the
not
problems
second
are.
guessing where you went wrong. Yeah. Oh my
and
God,
trying
that's
to
a
find where the
nightmare.
problem is, right? Because you do have some metrics that will tell you this, and this is another thing, right? This is the importance of looking
That's
through
what
your
I was actually going to ask you
analytics.
about.
Is you want to, and this is another thing, right? So if I actually if I went onto my YouTube studio now, and
I want to know what your click-through rate is, if you know off
this
the
is
top of
the
your head.
thing, right? A lot of my thumbnails have good click-through rates. However,
what is your click-through rate? Generally speaking, off the top of your head, do you know? On average?
I couldn't tell you an average over the last videos, but right,
what's the number that sticks out?
Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that Ash one was, just because that's the most recent one, I believe like 8, 9. But my point is, it's like the impressions are much lower, so they're obviously always going to be higher.
Yeah, it dilutes.
Yeah, obviously always going to be higher. This is my point, right? So my click-through rate is never bad. But then I ask myself the question,
it's very small sample size.
Exactly. I ask myself the question, is that because the sample size is small and I know that people are coming here I know a lot of people that go there every week, not a lot of people, but 100-ish people that go there every week to watch that. So is that a little bit misleading because the sample size is small and people are going there week to week, so it's giving me a misleading figure? Or is actually it okay, but the impressions aren't great?
I try and compare it because on mine, if you ask me, I don't think that's a good click-through rate for the amount of impressions. How many amount of impressions
I
are you
have
usually
made
getting?
that up, to be honest.
Personally, huh?
Impressions, mate. I can't.
Like, in terms of 8% off, how many views has that video got?
230, something like that.
That's not great because that will shoot down because it tends to start quite. And I mean, it's because I have the same thing. Like, I know you can tell when a video is gonna good because it will last a while. Like my first Mythical Fighters one, that stayed above 10% until about 25,000 views. And then it's down. It's now down. It's about 6.4% now, but it's on like 90k views, so it's not, and you can always do better. But that is pretty good because it held its ground basically. Because you start quite high. Mine tend to sit around 15% first few hundred views, and then they'll drop down just gradually. It will start to dilute. So you want to the baseline that you sort of start with over the first like 1,000 views, first few hundred, and you just have. That's how you kind of know. And then obviously it will just gradually go down because that's just the law of averages. But work. I think it's just something to work on, but it isn't all about click-through rate either.
No.
That's what I've realized. It's more than this retention. It's your average view duration, which is similar sort of thing.
I need to get
there's a lot of factors
on. This is the thing. This conversation is the honest truth of what happens when you divide attention. Because if I were to sit here and
we're on
say,
different ends of the spectrum.
Well, if I were to sit here and say, right, okay, this whole week I'm doing nothing but this, it could be a different conversation. Now, that's the balancing act I have to play, right? And that's all of me. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that's how I need to find. I need to also find how to appeal to that broader market. How do I appeal to someone?
That is important.
Of course. So how do I appeal to just an MMA fan? How do I draw an MMA fan into care?
You got to do that first.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you look wider.
Exactly.
That's what I sort of do with my thumbnails. I'm like, right, what on the core front of trying to attract people who are into MMA, how can I get faces that are recognizable, make it just appealing to click, and making it appealing to click is how you get the wider audiences because you're getting people who aren't into MMA, but you're seeing a title and format that just looks visually striking enough that they're going to click it anyway, even if they don't recognize the faces. Like, let's say you got Michael Chandler in there. Most guys, people who don't watch MMA aren't even going to know who he is. But if the thumbnail format and the text, everything just packaged works, they're going to click on it anyway, at least some of them. And that's how you get the larger view counts and the YouTube to push your videos to further people, because the moment it's sort of, that's what I've realized. I've been looking into the science of it, is they start to push your videos out to different demographics and see sort of to test the waters. And if it starts to perform well, then they do it even more. It's like a little test run, and then they'll just push it further. So you get these big influxes of views, because that's when it's starting to, YouTube algorithm is starting to say, okay, this video is working with newer audiences, and then it will just push it further. And then when it realizes it's not going to do that, and then people aren't tuning in as much, that's when it sort of starts to dilute.
I think as well, whenever I think about YouTube, I always think it in the sense of, I need to have content which is, well, most people try and do this, but have the sort of evergreen content, if you like, and then the more
I haven't given that too much thought
recent,
personally,
because it is important, because then you have videos. I mean, you probably do this without even actually realizing, because there is evergreen content in some of the videos that you make anyway.
No, I agree. I do think about it a bit, but not like like the Mythical Fighters is definitely more evergreen,
because it makes me think of an idea I've been toying with, which I think's probably quite a good idea, is if I can create YouTube videos even, and this isn't that difficult, and there isn't really any reason why I shouldn't be doing this, but I should get a fighter or a couple of fighters from the gym and 20 minutes aside. And if we're talking about evergreen content, which if I can package correctly and hopefully see a decent return on, would be return just in terms of viewership, would be things along the lines of recreations of finishing sequences, right? So getting fighters to break down and show and execute very famous finishing sequences, whether it's in jiu-jitsu, whether it's in fighting or whatnot. And then there's quite an easy in to create a package, if you like, in regards to a title and a thumbnail, and then then an actual,
that's an open goal.
Yeah, exactly. And then an actual video which delivers exactly on that. So
I mean, that proves the point though, that it's idea first.
Idea
always comes first.
Always.
Yeah. So like that is, idea is the crux of it completely, because obviously you talk about between evergreen and present content. It doesn't, whichever direction you're taking it.
I'm not putting too much thought into that, by the way. Yeah, I'm not trying to.
No, you're not. You're not.
I'm not trying to.
I mean, no. But
things.
It's true though, because I mean, it doesn't matter the type of content you make in terms of evergreen or present, like whatever audience you're trying to capture. The idea needs to be, good enough anyway. Even if the title is perfect, the idea actually has to be something that people are interested in. So, and a lot of that does come with the title in terms of how you frame something. Like, so I give a perfect example. Shout out to Lucas Tracy, that MMA like that. The guy who does stuff. Give credit to him, because he had a video where he had he did a video about Pereira and Adesanya, and he just, in one way of framing a title, the video wouldn't have done nearly as good. But the way he said it was, Alex, did you click your neck? Yeah, I clicked my jaw horrendously a minute ago. I don't know if it picked up on the mic. I hope it didn't. But yeah, so he framed it as Alex Pereira is not the villain against Adesanya.
I did see that, actually.
Rather than he is the hero. And that is such, because saying, he's not the villain, it's such a simple change,
and it's a negative.
So yeah, and it's a negative, exactly. And so that instantly invites way more curiosity. It's like, he's not this. Even if people who don't even know about MMA, they're just curious, because they're like, okay, there's a contrast, right? It's a subconscious thing, and they'll just make them click
on it. And it appeals against a pre-existing notion.
The norm.
Exactly. Yeah, so it appeals against the norm. So by him telling us he isn't this, we stop and think, we know him as XYZ. What, you're telling me he's not that? Why? So there creates that intrigue loop, sort of. And this is the real intelligence behind the title, really. It's creating that intrigue. And there's so many different ways to do that. And as you said there, that's one way to do that, is appeal against the norm. Almost like, you always think this is what it really is.
No, yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting. There's so many different approaches for that title. And just circling back, you'd never finish your question. What does in this game we play in a couple of years' time, you said about having multiple channels and whatnot, but be more specific. What does success look like to you in an MMA creator content space?
What time frame are we talking?
5 years.
Okay, 5 years. 200,000 subscribers minimum.
Why?
I don't know. That's an achievable number, I think.
Why is that important to have that number?
set my... Well, because I mean, as important as... I'm waffling. As important as subscriber count isn't, it's still a metric of how well... Growth, right, yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Of growth, how well your channel's doing. Because people are clicking on it and they want to see more. So having that number of subscribers, whether it means something or not in terms of actual traffic, it proves that you've done something right along the line. That's
so
the way
do you think if you don't have... I'm not psychoanalyzing. I'm just asking questions.
No, there's other factors.
100%.
There's other factors as well.
The reason I say this is, so if you weren't to have X amount of subscribers, you would potentially feel that the hard work or input isn't necessarily validated.
No, because I said there'd be other things in there. Like I want to branch out into other platforms. I want to do more in person stuff.
It doesn't sound like a subscriber number would be.
No, it's not as arbitrary as that, but that's like a core component. Like there's other stuff I want to do and achieve in terms of building out the brand and from the YouTube channel. And
like what?
You know, I want to work with it. I love to work with other people. I love to do live stuff. Like as I said, actually, this is what I was going to go on to, because I talked about different avenues of building your brand and your platform. I'm going to start live streaming. Hell, I might do a live stream tonight for the first time. I don't know. See how I feel.
I was going to message you the other day, and I don't know why I didn't. Why didn't I message you? I don't know.
What was this? Now you got my curiosity.
I don't know. I was literally going to message you this. And then this is why. I was going to say, why are we not watch partying the UFC events?
That's a very good point.
Why are we not doing that?
Why aren't we doing that? Yeah,
my only slight drawback to that was I don't believe you can live stream on YouTube without 1,000 subscribers, so we wouldn't be able to do it on this channel. That's the only thing.
I mean, I could do it on mine, and then
there was always workarounds. We could do it on mine, yours, anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. My point is we couldn't do it on this one. However, I do not live stream enough / at all.
I mean, I haven't done it at all.
And it is the most important thing for growing the community. And we can sit here and look at the beautiful things of hitting this subscribers or these followers or this income. They're all good for both of us, but we are leaving money on the table figuratively, literally, and in the sense of a community building. It's all nice to say,
sure.
Let's build a community and do those things, but why are we not?
Yeah, I mean, it's just... a lot of it comes down to procrastination. I said the same thing about why I took so long for jiu-jitsu. It's maybe there's a sort of subconscious fear in there, a laziness aspect to it, whether you want to admit it or not. For me personally, I know that's part of it.
For me, 100%.
Fear of judgment. Like it's all little things, but they jab at you, and it makes you enough to not want to do it.
Are they relevant?
And you just don't want to put your foot out the door. No, they're relevant mentally in terms of they're going to be there, but in terms of actual consequence to doing said thing, they're not going to be there. Yeah, exactly. So it's a matter of doing it. And I love, you probably know Yes Theory, right, on YouTube. I watched them for years. I don't really watch their videos anymore, but I've always loved their premise and what they've stood for. And I think I really took their ideas as my own in terms of the way I wanted to do things, particularly with YouTube. Go for it.
Why don't we commit to a live stream? I'm not going to say every day because let's start off small.
Every day.
No. I've seen, and the reason I know there's no excuse for this is because I've seen some incredible creators who get a phenomenal amount of output done across their business. They all live stream almost daily, if not daily. And watching that makes me think, look at yourself and look at myself. This is a mirror. Look in that mirror and ask yourself, can you put 30 minutes a day aside for building and speaking to your community. Can you do that? I know I can do that. 30 minutes, I know I can do that. So
I could do it.
my point is, let's not, same as the podcast, let's not, well, we actually said we'll do it every week, and we have done that, but that's less of a commitment. Instead of saying, right, let's do it every week, let's say from this week, let's commit to, because my point is, right, especially on live streams sometimes, if it's in the middle of a week, if it's MMA particularly, if it's a little bit of a slow week in MMA, if there's not much news and whatnot, I've done it before where I sat on live streams and there's not a ton of activity. On the flip side, do you want to hear something crazy, actually? What do you think the most amount of people I've had in a live stream is collectively over a UFC card?
Is this talking about across multiple platforms?
No. Just TikTok. Just TikTok.
Okay, so TikTok's is a bit different ballgame, isn't it? I'm going to say 1,000?
Across a UFC event. So first prelim to like the last. I actually remember when it was.
Oh, right. So not concurrent then. So
No.
Okay, so people who joined, unique viewers who joined the live stream.
Yeah, so you have to be on for a certain amount of time to be counted as a unique viewer at the end of the live stream, I believe.
Right. Okay, I don't know then. Like 7,500.
200,000.
Fucking hell.
200,000.
Fair enough.
And that was during UFC London whilst I was actually in Australia. However, my point is, we've got no excuse.
No. It doesn't take that amount of time. Even if you're just streaming for like an hour, like that's not much.
And realistically, if we can commit to say right now, we commit and say, right, 3 times a week, 3 times this week, we're going to, I think we should just do them together.
How would we do
easily
that logistically?
Across either TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, or in fact, I believe all of them.
Okay, well we can delve into that.
We can sort out the logistics.
It's a bit of a complex thing.
I don't think it is.
We can talk about that. No, it sounds complicated to me. Maybe I'm
because
being stupid.
Because you have something now called OBS Labs.
I've got OBS, yeah.
Which you can set up your camera to and your mic to, and you can stream through multiple channels at the same time. So you can have your YouTube, TikTok, Instagram on there all at once. So obviously it'll take a little back and forth of just figuring out between us what's the best way to do it. But I would love in a world to be able to say, right, let's go live 3 times a week and just have a chat.
For anything or for
creator, MMA, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay. That's the beauty of it. We're just community building. Yeah.
I do like watch-alongs. I've always wanted to have my own. This was actually one of my first ideas I had. This is what I spoke to Logan Paul's editor about. Is when he was giving me advice, I reached out to him and I was like, "There's such a good opportunity for right." Huh?
I said, "Oh,
what?"
I was joking.
No, but you know, what was it? Yeah, so you know True Geordie, right?
Yes.
So he used to work for True Geordie. And they did the kickoff. I've told you about this before. So yeah, so he has like a football watch along thing called the kickoff. Still really popular, does really well. Really high production value, like a live watch along basically. Mm-hmm. And he did that periodically with MMA in the UFC, but only very sporadically. And I say there's such a big opportunity to build something there. Like just do that, and just because no one else is doing it to that level of high quality. So down the line, when you know logistically have the means to get a crew of people, proper high quality cameras and a studio, everything like that, just do that full force because it's such an open goal that would just work.
What camera have you got?
I'm using a webcam right now.
Do you have a camera?
No,
but you've got an iPhone. You need an iPhone.
I know you can't see it.
An iPhone.
No, I don't. I'm never changing.
I know you can. I'm not sit here trying to be a what's the word, a shield for Apple. I'm really not. I completely understand that they are behind in a lot of senses for technology. I understand that.
I know their cameras are good,
but it's not good because a Samsung is actually probably better. If you look at megapixels and actual ability, it's probably better. But I just mean in terms of going on social platforms and the compatibility of having 4K recording.
It's true.
It's just an iPhone. And the thing is, what I would say to you is you can actually get the thing is now, because there's so many iPhones, you can actually go back to iPhone 10 and it's got 4K capabilities, and you can probably get one for about £80. Like literally about £80. Actually, probably cheaper.
Right.
I think you could probably get an iPhone second-hand, good condition, iPhone 10, 4K capability, £50, I reckon.
That's all right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this. Oh, 100%.
No, I like the idea.
I'm not saying this in a sense of, oh, you have to get out. I'm taking a piss. I just mean this genuinely.
They are good. I know. Yeah. No, for sure.
I spoke to my mate about it before, because, like I said, the capabilities aren't necessarily better, but it's the compatibility with online platforms are geared towards Apple and not the other platforms. Hence why you see things like sometimes, what's that app, Snapchat, with Samsungs, it literally looks like it's been taken from a microwave. It's just the compatibility. It's not the actual ability of the camera, if that makes sense. But just circling back to what we said, we need to live stream. And I think if we just do it together, I think it's just a no-brainer. It's just easier. We can just sit down and have a chat, build both our communities, link both of our communities, and just grow the platform as like the third party.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And I think watch-alongs are just, why are we not doing that? We're both up watching them.
Yeah, watch-alongs, I don't know, because I feel like there's something about watching. I know this sounds kind of sad.
No, I'm with you. I like watching it by myself.
But do you know what I'm saying about watching by yourself and just like, and there's no, obviously, because not having a camera on you makes it just being normal. I know you can't. I'm not saying not being yourself, but I mean, there's no pressure or any sort of expectation of not a camera. I quite like it.
I've done both, right? So I knew exactly what you were going to say before you said it, because I'm 100% with you. Don't get me wrong. You say not being yourself makes me laugh, because the live stream I had the most amount of people in, like I said, when I was in Australia, I honestly was just I was lying on my bed with this just pile of snacks, just eating. It's about 5 a.m. I'm speaking absolute waffle, and I'm looking at my screen. There's 3,000 people sitting watching me, and I've got like a baguette half stuffed in my face, and I'm just thinking, oh my god, this is the lowest level of effort.
At the same time, subconsciously, there's still that pressure. No, right? Do you know what I mean? No, but it's never the same. You know what I mean, though? Like, it's the difference between having a camera on you and not. That's what I mean. Like,
I'll be honest. I'll be transparent about it. It's not the pressure of understanding this camera on, because I've done it quite a lot of times, so I was just very comfortable with it. And to be in all honesty, I'm just very comfortable now, just being on a live stream and not really caring. I will preface that by saying I'm not trying to say ridiculously outlandish stuff and get cancelled and not care, but that just isn't within my nature anyway, so that's not natural, so I don't necessarily believe that's going to happen. However, I 100%, anyone that knows me knows that if I watch the UFC, I like to watch it in a dark room by myself, no distractions, with my headphones in, 100%. My point is, it's like, as idealistic as that is, if I do that, I look at like the risk to reward of that, right?
You're missing opportunities.
Exactly.
Right?
I look at the risk to reward of that, and it's like, yeah, that's nice, that's cool. But how much am I leaving on the table there? A lot. If it was a little bit, I'd be like, yeah, it's subtracting from the enjoyment of it and whatnot. Meh. But the gain from it, and also you forget how many people actually like to engage with you that way. If you have, as you do, you have an audience.
And so memberships, it opens avenues to memberships, and obviously we're talking just strictly on a monetary perspective, but building your community.
And people, by the way,
through live streams,
people give you gifts. Like, I get gifts. Not that I'm saying I do that for it, but occasionally people like send you gifts or flowers and whatnot. You answer a few questions. People do send you.
I've had a couple of people give me super thanks just in my comments.
This is my point, right? So,
which was so weird. But shout out to those guys. There's two of them. I can't remember Ivan was one of them, and this other guy, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, he gave me money twice, and he's a legend. If he's ever listened to this podcast, I will check your name and I will.
But it's almost at a point where, I know this is a weird way of viewing it, but it's almost as if us enjoying it by ourselves, that's a selfish outlook for our community.
No.
A little bit.
I wouldn't say
a little bit.
What? Enjoying the life? Wait, enjoying what?
Not enjoying it is selfish. That's not how I mean. I'm being extreme. But I mean, we could provide. 100x more value by doing that than just watching it alone in our rooms by ourselves. Do you see what I mean?
No, I agree.
There's
Yeah.
much
I mean,
on the
there's an
table.
opportunity.
So much on the table.
Spiffy Boy 7079, if I pronounced that right. You're a legend as well for donating me the peas. That's very kind. You don't have to do that.
But
I feel really bad when people have done that, because I'm just like, why?
And if we want to talk,
but at the same time, you are providing
No, go on.
You're providing content, and if people enjoy it, then they're entitled to do that. So
and you forget,
you have to put it from a different perspective.
You do forget, right? I go on these live streams and I'm thinking, right, I'm just going on a live stream and just people just watching my ugly mug and whatnot, and then people start putting in the chat, oh, really enjoy actually coming on these. None of my friends like MMA, so I like having a chat about it at the same time. And you think, oh, yeah, this is actually providing value.
It is actually doing something, right? Yeah, exactly.
You forget, because it's so weird to think that.
Even just my videos, I don't regard that. I forget it. I forget that people actually tune in every week and watch my stuff and enjoy it. And I don't appreciate that enough. And I think, and that's not out of a selfish thing. It's just because I feel like I don't deserve it. It's a guilt.
So how can we give back? Is my point.
We'll keep providing and just do more, and live streams help towards that.
I think that's mainly a big thing as well, because you can be candid, you can go off topic, and guess what as well? When you're recording in 4K, guess what it opens you up to? Content on the back end. So not only do you have a live stream that you can post and upload anyway, you then have the back end of all that content. If you have a particular soundbite you want to extract or whatnot, if we want to put it through our AI and take the clips out of it, it's easy money. The more I speak about it, to be honest, the more no-brainer it is.
It is, isn't it?
Massively.
I might do a little one tonight just to test it out the waters and just do a little bit of a Q&A thing. After I do the podcast, probably after I edit the podcast, 100%. Probably. I
thought about it. I've been thinking about it a lot this week, so I'm glad we cleared that. And to be honest, not that I'm trying to intrude on your live streams, but I'm saying if we. My point is if we make a commitment to do XYZ amount per week, then I have an accountability, you know?
Yeah, of course. That's a long tangent I want to get into. But yeah, having a reason and, you know, there's like a responsibility means you have a more incentive to do it. And there's a whole other conversation I wanted to go into. But, you know, we've been going for about an hour and 10, so I don't want to run into that because I'd be just rambling forever.
It's important.
But I'm sure we can crack on to that next week. It is important to have
that accountability, however you find that. Because I think whether it's in eating correctly, working out, creating YouTube content, whatever that looks like, you need to find some form of accountability. And there's so many different ways you can find that, whether that's just you do it on your own back and you just have that mentally, whether it's someone as a mentor, whether it's someone like a podcast partner that you have to be accountable for, right, rocking up every week, Sunday, 3 p.m, whatever that looks like, I think is important. So if you can find that in a way that works, because the beauty of that is I'll get the streams, the live streams. So I'm just thinking logistics. Obviously, we can speak about this off air. We'll speak about this off air. No point in getting into the logistics of it. But I definitely think it's a good avenue to go down, 100%.
Yeah, and something anyone listening will see happen in the near future, whether that's a week or 2 weeks down the line. I don't know, but we'll look at making that happen so you can enjoy more of our content.
I think we deliver on what we'll say we'll deliver on.
Well, we did it. We're doing that with the podcast, I hope. In terms of consistency, we're doing every Sunday now, because we're committed to that as well. Same day as recording, because we're good like that. But anyway, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. And if you're all right with that, this is Casuals Encounters. Actually, no, not Casuals Encounters. We've changed the name. Actually, is it? We haven't confirmed. Have we confirmed that? I don't know if we should announce that yet or no. I'll let you do it because I don't want to.
We're undergoing a rebrand currently of the MMA content. No, this is why.
Yeah,
this is why.
That's why I was gonna say it.
The MMA Creators Podcast, and it's essentially what it says on the tin. That's the beauty of it. You're going to have a little bit of MMA conversation, a bit of discussion, but also it's more so just in terms of the life and the logistics and actually the operational side to creating a career and a life within the MMA space. Because realistically, as the years go on, more and more people are going to want to create a career and financial freedom within this space. And We want
Agreed.
to be at the forefront of helping people do that. So that's exactly what the MMA Creators Podcast is going to be.
MMA Creator Podcast, episode 18. See you next Sunday. Cheers.